wage payanna aaye kiwa Benlove sane matadilla ha bensuwe masiterandvala Obawa mata himi ne kiyala kohoma innada wenwela Isserin taram purang kumurunata isserin tarang Kabbarak taram barang arang eneratteran torang Siri sanga bodhi maliga vedima Deka prane hane venta bata demma Siri sanga bodhi maliga vedima Deka prane hane venta bata demma Oh yes Siri sanga bodhi maliga vedima Deka prane hane venta bata demma
Where is our music industry going? Are we on par with the international or even regionally? I thought let's talk about the local music industry with a popular figure in the Sri Lankan music industry and of course regionally and internationally as well now. With me on the program today is Dushyanth Weeraman. Dushyanth, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, what is your take on the Sri Lankan music industry?
What is my take on Sri Lankan industry in music, right? But you're referring to the Western music culture?
The Western, mostly the Western, the English.
The English?
Yeah.
Well, in that per se, there is no industry as such.
Okay.
But of course, there is a segment of people who listen to a bit of English music, and there's a bit of English music being produced. And of course, we have different platforms and mediums of English music in terms of either they are songs or musical theatre, things like that. Yeah. Choirs and the seasonal festival kind of things.
Right.
But to be honest, industry per se, I don't see it existing in Sri Lanka. There is no industry as such, as in there is no English or Western music producer who makes a living out of music.
Okay. It's more in the Sinhalese market, right?
It's in the Sinhalese market. Like I don't want someone to feel confused because there's an association called WMA, Western Music Association or Western Musicians Association. But then one might say, what about them? But mostly what you find there is like our Western music segment are not contributing with any original music. Maybe there are a few, one or two people, but predominantly it's just all people who do covers.
Right.
So in terms of industry, as Sri Lanka contributing for the Western music is more or less non-existent.
So even the few who are coming up with originals,
yeah,
in your opinion, they are not matching up to the standards.
No, I'm not saying. I didn't use those words.
Yeah. No, but I'm asking you.
No. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's so small. There are youngsters, even from 20, 30, 50 years ago, there have been always an instance where we've tried to do Western music, to produce English music. Sri Lanka, we've been in the evolution of music. If you take the different eras of how we listen to music, either through vinyl records or then it was cassettes, and then it was CDs, and then obviously radios in between, and then we have the digital era where the MP3s and the wave audio files were used. And now we are in a downloading or more like a streaming era, right? Very soon it would be an AI era, I guess. So what has happened is, at a time where there was a centralized system in Sri Lanka, like for instance there were TV stations, radio stations and music festivals, things like that happening, and these were obviously governed by certain bodies, and there was a certain system that brought out the music to the people. But now I don't see Sri Lanka being in any of the centralized system. We don't have a centralized system anymore. It's very decentralized. Any artist is competing with any all the artists in the world. You're not in a, it's not a small market. So as per that, we don't have an industry where we have somebody who is governing this. So I mean, as for now, in terms of the contribution for English music, it's very small. It's very small, and Sri Lanka doesn't have much of a support for the musicians, because I know there are a few stations that they do have the homegrown,
Promote, yes.
yeah, the homegrown stuff in that way. But still, what the problem here is, we have a very small segment, and it's very hard to get attention or grow an industry with a small population, with a very small niche market. It's very difficult. So in terms of Western music in Sri Lanka, it's more or less, in my opinion, I would say non-existent, but it would be insulting for the people who are in it, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to offend anybody by saying this, but the reality is it's very small.
But the money comes in, I guess, from the international tracks as opposed to homegrown. I mean, the radio stations would probably pay more foreign tracks, because that.
Or they play more foreign tracks, but look, then again, okay, like good point. If there's an industry, there should be somebody making money.
Yeah.
Right? Can you tell me who's making money here?
From the Western music industry, since there's no industry.
Yeah. Who's making money?
Yeah.
Radio stations do play music, but do they pay the artists who are doing the music? So if the artist is spending money, producing their music, and having it played on whichever platform, and if they're not making income, that's no industry.
Right.
It's just somebody's
That's
doing
a
a
good
hobby.
point. Yeah, I mean, then what radio stations in Sri Lanka are doing is also wrong, isn't it?
Well,
But shouldn't someone, if they are playing someone's track, isn't it a norm that you're paid for the track?
well, isn't it a norm? Well, what if a country that it's not abiding by rules? Isn't that what about the norm in that country?
Right.
So it's very hard for me to answer whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
If it's not been done for so many years, and if that is our system, even though if the law exists, right? Can we now in 2023 say that radio stations are wrong?
Yeah.
And there is no government body, there is no politician, there is no. I mean, we are living in a country with a very poor man's mentality, right? The politicians know that they should only do things like the popular things for people. So it's very short-term thinking. And for years we haven't seen the problems, the rooted problems in this country. And in terms of arts, entertainment, it's a huge factor for culture of life, the health of the culture of the country. And if as citizens we have not seen this for decades, 50 or maybe 75 years or even more, if we have not seen, I mean, it's nice that you guys, you are interested in putting this into the public hearing, and we would like to have a dialogue on this, but the reality is that we are very short term. We don't see how entertainment or culture is a valuable thing to upgrade ourselves as a country. So we do not have these. We do have the laws, but we don't necessarily practice these. So yeah, that's the truth. The law exists.
Yeah.
Right. I've been a part of so many bodies like Oscar and ACPO, and now we have MRSL, Music Rights Sri Lanka. Musicians and people, very senior people in industry, we've got together and tried to set up these things, and we've gone to the system makers or the bodies, authorities who's supposed to do this, and it seems that we don't have that the brain to understand how valuable this is for the country to go forward, how important arts is, how important music is, how important mental health or how important entertainment is for the mental health of people, so that as a country we need to be investing in these areas, create these just not as hobbies for people, actually an industry which will benefit the whole country in the long run. If we do not have that thought of the train of thought in those people who are supposed to make this system, I mean, it will just run. You know, there will be teenagers doing music, learning to play music, they'll perform and they'll take it up as a career, and then very soon after they'll be maybe having their tracks on radio, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, they'll do a few competitions, gigs, and that's what it is. But honestly, look at K-pop. You know, the Korean government had invested billions of dollars, and today K-pop brings in 7% of the national income for Korea, right? And that's what we need to be able to see. I mean, it's not just doing music, or not. I'm not even saying we need to do English music or Western music to go international. The think tank of this country should be seeing the value of arts. If we don't see it, and this is what's going to happen.
But then the media also has a role there, don't they?
Of course, everybody has a role.
Right.
I mean, we love to point fingers at all the politicians all the time, but truly it's us.
It's us.
You know, we are the ones choosing it after all. But I mean, so this is very important. Like, you know, as media, you are acknowledging the situation now, like you're bringing this into dialogue. But as media, there is also a responsibility where you do not just go on with the same old practices where the law exists, but you don't
download the track and play it off.
Yeah, you know, you have to pay out, you know, write those checks to the people who are giving you the music. If you're playing, you know, abide by the system, be in the system, and respect the artists, respect the producers, pay something back, and you know, that should happen. And but I think mostly the most important thing is we have to recognize the value of art. If we do not, as a nation, if we do not recognize the value, I mean look at the certain era we were able to do garments. You know, we were leading in this region. Why? Because there was somebody who recognized it and made a system and encouraged, as a government, and they encourage the people to do factories, right? And so if that think tank is there, it's possible. It's just that we are failing in that most important place.
What would motivate people like you? I mean, if you know there is no support around y'all to, you know,
what would motivate people?
People like you.
Definitely, if there's a living. I mean, if I'm going to make money out of my passion, right? I'm going to keep on doing it. And end of the day, you know, you can be a teenager, you can be a young adult doing music as long as you're with your parents, right? But life, you know, you have to see this is why up until about 98, even when Bharatiya Santhu started, I came from home where all our parents were never, you know, for it. They said, no, are you mad? Being a musician in Sri Lanka, that's ridiculous. And the thing is, that's because there was no promise. And it was not promising to be to have a good life as a musician. But if we can have this promise for the next generation, if we can show people that, you know, you can be making a good living, because I mean, you can see a few here and there now, that's Bharatiya Santhu and whoever, right? But then again, these are not Western musicians.
Yeah,
these are still Sinhala or fusion or whatever. You know, they do both. So in terms of the Western music, if that's what we're talking about, that promise should be there. So for children who are doing or youngsters who are doing Western music, they should feel like, you know, their parents should feel like, okay, our children are going to be secure, they're going to be making money off this. The thing is, like as I said,
this is the same issue even for the Sinhalese music industry as well, though, right? I mean, they are also not paid.
Well, it's a little less because we have been quite active about this payments and royalties, and there are other streams of you being secured, because on social media, on YouTube, and so many streaming, like iTunes, Spotify, all of these places, we are dealing not with the government, the local authorities. Yeah, we are dealing with the international authorities. So that's fine. There's a lot of money to be made there, and so slowly that is happening. But if it comes to the English songs, but you're competing with the rest of the world, so that becomes very challenging for any local too, right? But like I said, AI is coming. It's already here, rather.
Right.
I've seen a few places where you can get your music done. Sometimes probably even free of charge. So that's going to happen. So yeah, I think in the future it will be something. But at the moment, we don't have. This is where we are right now.
Are we at times investing a lot on Indian music, Indian performers, Indian artists, and not doing enough for our local industry?
Are you saying
overall, not the Western?
Okay, are you asking me that as a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing.
You think it's a bad thing? Okay, I love playing devil's advocate. Okay, so the thing is, you see, there's always good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you say, why should I put all my effort, spend my time, compromise on my life, and make new music if you're going to listen to it and not pay for it? Pay me back, right? So why not, like Jyotipala did, and all those, I'm not just labeling Jyotipala, everybody did, right? If you look at our film industry, every song was an Indian song.
Right.
So why don't they just do that?
Okay.
Because if you're not going to make money, if it's a small population, right, and if it's so hard for you to get on media, right, why would I have to, go to this place where I explore and I, become creative and I do this melody for years? Being creative is like, I love how Ed Sheeran explained it. If you want to have good stuff, it's like running water through an old pipe. First you have the rust coming and the muddy water, and it takes so much longer for nice clean water to come out, right? So being creative is like that. For someone like me or any artist to be creative, it's a very, very hard thing. It's a lifelong thing, right? So why would I have to go through all the trouble, spend all my life and feel like a waste, right? When I can just copy somebody else's song and put some single songs. Because I did a whole book about how I did my first album, and then I came to understand there was nobody else in the industry who had done an original album, right? Other than Daddy. I was the only solo artist who created my own album, and it was so hard for me to compete. I've had very good success. I've had 7 number ones out of the 14 songs I released in my album, right? But still it was so ridiculous. I mean, for me as a matured artist, I'm thinking it was so ridiculous. Why did I just go through all that, right, to compete with everybody who was making copy songs?
Yeah.
Everybody. I couldn't figure out one single artist who had only originals. So yeah, is it a bad thing?
But then shouldn't...
and where is my music going?
Yeah.
When I'm doing original music and when I'm competing with everybody else who says copies.
Yeah. But then if we invest in training artists, giving them the facilities, can't they improve?
Yes, you can improve. You see, so I think we are in a very, very bad wicket in terms of the amount of people that the amount of our community, our population, our country. We are a small nation, the only nation who speaks Sinhalese, and we are hardly known anywhere, right? And it's very hard to get out there unless we piggyback on somebody else, on some other developed country or a superpower, right? So, I mean, the truth is, it's damn hard.
Right.
It's damn hard for us, right? The population is small. We're a poor nation. The disposable income is not there, and the people who have money are very small. Majority is poor. It's a hard wicket. Right. So the truth is, I don't see the wrong thing about people copying or being influenced by Indian music, because at the end of the day, we are very much them. We are in this same region. If you go to Bangladesh, Pakistan, come on, all of them they don't even, at least we don't even speak Hindi. They even speak that kind of language, but still all of them are so much more influenced. I think that's a very regional thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. I used to think, oh, come on, but the thing is, just doing original music is going to be very hard for us to go to the next one. So might as well do it in somewhat way you can. I think what we need to really do is not look at the people in the industry, but the people who are above it, who is supposed to take care of this, should see this. The think tank should start, they should start thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone wanting to get involved in the industry, be a Dushyanth or be a Bhati and Santosh, shouldn't really, I guess, be thinking about making money in Sri Lanka locally, because it doesn't pay here.
No, don't take, you can't say Dushyanth, Bhati, Santosh, because they've made it.
Yeah.
You know, we live a very comfortable life having, that's because we are not making money just by the music.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so someone would want, they wouldn't know this. Youngsters might think, okay, wow, let's us also be like, I want to be like Dushyanth. I want to be popular. I want to make a song. I want to write my own music. Maybe I can, make a living out of it.
That's hard. It's very hard. Santosh used to tell me, Malla, stick to working for Mercedes-Benz. That was my only job, by the way. They're like, you're doing well there, you stay there, you're a guy good for the corporate, don't come into the industry. And I was very stubborn. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So, but the thing is, he gave me the warning, because he knew it was going to be very tough. And after I came, I did understand it was very tough, right? And but then again, I thought I was very fortunate. I was very lucky. Most things I did was very successful. But the thing is, there are lots of other artists who have, and it's in the international, you can be a one-hit wonder and still make it. You can be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Here in Sri Lanka, if you are a one-hit wonder, you are, it's still a very, very sad story.
Yeah.
So that's where the risk is. So you need to have foreseen everything, planned out, and still be very lucky to be successful, right? And it's not like I'm ready to give you a success formula or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's, if you want to be somebody, if this is your passion, go for it. And if you want to make money out of it, definitely you got to not expect the system to do it, but you need to hustle your way through. You need to figure out how to, because it's a very challenging thing. It's a very small market. It's not a lucrative market for you to make a lot of money. Trust me, Bhati Santosh is not making money out of their songs. If you take Michael Jackson, right? He made money because he started buying music, right? He bought the Beatles, he bought everything. At one point, he owned more than 50% of Sony Music before he died, right? That's where Michael Jackson makes money, and that's where Bhati Santosh is making money, and all this whoever, they've done really well, and now they've gone into the industry, So yeah, if you want to just, but then again, you'll see a Sanuka and an Umaria, being very successful. They are tremendously talented artists. So these are exceptional people in the recent era, right? But you don't have many. So it doesn't necessarily mean that could be everybody's dream. It's not starting to say this is no industry. There is no industry, right? So come in for the passion. If God serves you and you have some luck, you'll do good. Only hope is somebody up there will start now making some changes for this industry to be better.
Well, we'll have to leave it on that. Thank you, Dushyanth, for joining us on the program
No
today.
problem.
And that's all the time we have for you for Let's Talk for this week. Till next time, stay safe.